Why quiet stockpiling is back and what it means for you. What if the next big shortage didn't come with a warning? No panic headlines, no news alerts, just empty shelves and regret. The truth is, millions of everyday Americans are quietly stocking up again. Not because they're paranoid, but because they've lived through rising prices, vanishing products, and that awful feeling of walking into a store and finding nothing left. If you're a senior on a fixed income, a parent feeding 3 kids, or a student trying to stretch $1, this hits close to home. You don't have time for guesswork. You need to know what's disappearing, why, and what to grab now before prices go wild or the shelves go bare. In this video, we're breaking down 15 essential household items that regular people just like you, are quietly stockpiling right now, while everything still seems fine. Some of these items might seem obvious. Others might shock you. But they all share one thing in common. When the next shortage hits, these could be the first things gone. Let's dive in. 1. Toilet paper. Still the first to disappear. Let's be real. This one needs no introduction. If you were around during 2020, you already know how fast toilet paper can vanish when things get shaky. And guess what? It's happening again. Sales of toilet paper and tissues have quietly climbed more than 12% year over year in 2025. No big headlines, no drama, just people quietly grabbing an extra pack or a dozen. Why? Because uncertainty is back. Whether it's rising fuel prices, whispers of supply chain hiccups, or even climate-related disruptions to paper production, smart shoppers are preparing now, not later. Even big box stores like Costco and Sam's Club have reportedly seen temporary purchase limits in some states. That's right, limits. Again. And for families with kids or seniors living on a fixed income, running out of TP isn't just inconvenient, it's expensive. No one wants to pay double during a panic or stand in line hoping for a restock. So if you've got the space, grab a few extra rolls now, especially your favorite brand. It doesn't expire, it doesn't go bad, and trust me, it'll never be a waste. 2. Laundry detergent and liquid soap. The silent surge you didn't see coming clean. Clothes might not seem like a survival need until you're staring at an empty detergent shelf and wondering how to make do. Over the last few months, sales of laundry detergent and dish soap have jumped by over 25% in cities across the U.S. quietly, with little attention. Why? Because the price of cleaning products is rising fast, and people are taking notice. New tariffs on imported cleaning supplies from countries like China and the EU could push prices up another 15 to 20% before the year's over. And with the U.S. importing nearly 40% of its cleaning products, any disruption, be it war, weather, or shipping delays, means those shelves could clear out overnight. On Reddit and Facebook, prepper communities are calling it the soap surge. Photos of empty Tide, Dawn, and even off-brand shelves are becoming all too common. Let's face it, no one wants to be caught doing laundry with baking soda and a prayer. Stock up while you still can, especially if you spot a sale at Walmart, Aldi, or your local dollar store. Because being clean isn't a luxury. It's part of staying safe, staying healthy, and staying ready. 3. Canned goods, rice and dry staples. Budget food that lasts. When money's tight and the future feels uncertain, food security becomes priority number 1. And nothing says prepared like a stocked pantry full of canned goods, rice, beans, and dry staples. These are the heroes of smart shopping. They're cheap, they last for years, and they can stretch into dozens of meals when times get tough. Sales of non-perishable pantry foods have jumped significantly in 2025, especially in lower-income neighborhoods and among large families. According to Business Insider, nearly 1 in 5 American households has either started or expanded their prepper pantry in the past 90 days. Why now? Because food inflation isn't done. Global rice prices are up 14% in the last year. Droughts and supply chain issues are hammering grain production, and the UN warns that global reserves are at their lowest since 2015. Seniors on fixed incomes, students with mini fridges, and parents shopping at Aldi or Dollar General are all doing the same thing, stocking up now while it's still affordable. Beans, lentils, pasta, canned vegetables, and even peanut butter. cheap, filling, shelf-stable, and gold during tough times. This isn't fear, it's food logic. 4. OTC Medications and Pain Relievers. The first thing you'll miss when you're sick, you know what always disappears right before flu season or during a heat wave? Painkillers, cold meds, allergy relief, and antacids. Over-the-counter medications are so common in our lives that we forget how critical they are until they're suddenly out of stock. And that's exactly what's been happening. According to the Consumer Healthcare Products Association, over 80% of Americans rely on OTC meds as their first line of treatment. But many of these products, especially generics, are imported from countries like India and China. And with new tariffs, higher production costs, and shaky global supply chains, availability is becoming a real concern. Remember the 2024 shortage of children's Tylenol? It wasn't just panic buying, it was a warning sign. Some stores have started limiting purchases of ibuprofen and cold medicine again. Meanwhile, Reddit users are showing off home medicine kits that look like mini pharmacies, organized, labeled, and rotated like grocery inventory. This isn't extreme, it's just smart. Because when you've got a fever, headache, or stomach bug, the last thing you want is an empty medicine drawer and a sold-out shelf. Grab a few extras now, your future self will thank you. 5. Toothpaste, shampoo, and hygiene items. Small basics, big regrets. Let's talk about the stuff that makes you feel human. Brushing your teeth, washing your hair, staying fresh. These everyday habits rely on products that many households are now quietly stockpiling. Toothpaste, shampoo, deodorant, bar soap, even floss. These aren't luxuries. They're essentials. But prices are going up, and store shelves in some areas are already looking thin. A MarketWatch report in mid-2025 showed a spike in bulk hygiene purchases, especially among seniors and families with kids. Why? Because inflation and shipping costs are pushing up prices across the board, and most of these items are imported. In fact, some brands like Colgate and Head & Shoulders are already up 20 to 30% compared to last year, thanks to rising import tariffs. In some states, stores have even limited purchases of popular toothpaste brands to 2 per customer. That's not fear, it's demand. On prepping forums, people are swapping tips for long-term storage of hygiene products, from vacuum sealing to rotating stash bins. Bottom line, don't underestimate these items. They may seem small now, but when they're gone or double the price, you'll wish you had more. 6. Pet food and supplies, because pets are family too. If you've got a dog, cat, or even a guinea pig, you already know those furry or feathered friends aren't just pets, they're family. And when things get tough, nobody wants to be caught without the essentials they need. That's why pet owners across the country, especially in lower-income households, are quietly stockpiling pet food, treats, litter, and even basic vet supplies. The data backs it up. In 23, Americans spent over $45 billion on pet food alone, a massive 17.6% jump from the year before. And according to a study by creditcards.com, 42% of Americans are either actively stockpiling or planning to stockpile key items, including pet supplies. Here's what's interesting. The biggest jump in spending came from households earning under $30,000. These families are making room in their budgets to take care of their pets before inflation or shortages make that harder to do. Even though pet food inflation has cooled in 2025, vet care costs are still climbing fast. That's why people are grabbing food and supplies now, while it's predictable and affordable. Bottom line, if you'd never forget to feed your kids, don't forget to prep for your pets. 7. Bottled water and electrolyte drinks. The lifeline. Everyone overlooks. Let's say your tap suddenly stopped working right now. How long could you and your family get by without clean water? That question is hitting home for more Americans than ever before. Quietly, households are stocking up on bottled water, electrolyte drinks, and even powdered rehydration mixes like Liquid IV and Pedialyte. And they're not doing it out of fear. They're doing it because it just makes sense. According to FEMA, each person needs at least 1 gallon of water per day for drinking and basic sanitation. That means a family of 4 needs over 30 gallons a month, and most homes have nowhere near that stored. Here's the kicker. The U.S. water infrastructure got a C-bar rating from the American Society of Civil Engineers. Aging pipes, contamination, and storm-driven outages have hit places like Jackson, Mississippi, and parts of Texas just in the last year. And it's not just water. Electrolyte drinks are critical during heat waves or power outages when fans and AC stop working. They help replenish what your body loses fast. Smart preppers are stacking water bricks, rotating Gatorade stock, or mixing their own hydration packs to save space. If you've got room under a bed or in a closet, fill it. Because when things go dry, water isn't just comfort, it's survival. 8. Feminine hygiene and personal care products. The essentials no one talks about. Let's talk about something that rarely gets discussed in prepping videos, but absolutely should. Feminine hygiene products, condoms, baby wipes, razors, deodorant, these aren't optional. They're essential. And when they're missing, daily life can get uncomfortable fast. Over 70% of feminine hygiene products sold in the U.S. are imported, mostly from China and Southeast Asia. And with shipping delays, rising costs, and new tariffs, prices have already surged by 15 to 20% over the past year. In rural areas, restocking takes even longer. Some stores have already limited tampon purchases to 1 pack per customer, and Reddit threads are full of people sounding the alarm. But it's not just about periods. It's about basic sanitation. Personal care products help people maintain dignity, comfort, and health, especially during stressful times. Facebook prepper groups have started organizing hygiene bins, pre-packed kits with menstrual tufts, disposable wipes, and long-lasting travel-size essentials. Because when the system breaks down, this is the stuff you don't want to be without. If you're building a prep stash, don't skip this category. It's not just about comfort. It's about control, safety, and self-respect. 9. Frozen meat and long-life cheese. Real protein, real comfort. There's something deeply reassuring about opening your freezer and seeing a stash of meat ready to go. In uncertain times, protein equals peace of mind. That's why families across the country, especially those shopping in bulk at Costco or Sam's Club, are quietly filling their freezers with frozen meat, shelf-stable jerky, and even wax cheese wheels. Why wax cheese? Because it doesn't require refrigeration and can last for months, sometimes even years, if stored properly. It's like the pantry version of gold. Meat prices are part of the problem. In 2020, the USDA reported beef up 8.6%, with poultry and pork not far behind. Combine that with extreme weather and feed shortages, and you've got a recipe for rising costs and tighter supply. And it's not just about food, it's about comfort. Studies show that during crises, people gravitate toward familiar, protein-rich comfort foods. That's why some are even building DIY mini meat cellars to store frozen or canned meats in case of power outages. If you've got room in the freezer, or space for canned Spam, corned beef, or long-life cheese, consider it an investment in both nutrition and peace of mind. 10. Olive oil, the liquid gold that's slipping away. What do pasta night, salad dressing, and emergency cooking won't have in common? One ingredient, olive oil. But this kitchen staple is quietly becoming a luxury. Here's why. About 95% of olive oil in the U.S. is imported, mostly from Europe, especially Spain and Italy. And new tariff proposals are threatening to raise prices by 20% or more in the coming months. On top of that, severe droughts in southern Europe have drastically reduced production. Spain, the world's top exporter, has already seen over a 38% surge in exports to the U.S. this year, as buyers rush to beat the tariff clock. And prices are already creeping up. A bottle that used to cost $6 could soon be $10 or more. People on prepper forums and even cooking subreddits are now treating olive oil like fine wine, buying multiple bottles, storing them in cool, dark places, and rotating stock. For families on a budget, that might sound like overkill. But think of it this way. Olive oil is healthy, shelf-stable, and endlessly useful. Whether you're frying eggs or roasting pantry vegetables, you'll miss it when it's gone. Grab a couple bottles now before your favorite brand doubles in price. 11. Coffee. Caffeine in here. Now, crisis later. Let's face it, coffee isn't just a beverage. For many Americans, it's a morning ritual, a mental reset, And let's be honest, a survival tool. That's why people are quietly hoarding instant coffee, ground beans, and even coffee pods before the next price spike hits. In 2020, nearly one-third of U.S. coffee imports came from Brazil. But with a massive 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee set to take effect this August, the price per cup is already rising, and fast. Add in climate-related droughts in both Brazil and Vietnam, and you've got a double whammy. Arabica coffee futures are at near record highs, and supermarket prices are up 9 to 12% this year alone. And here's the kicker. Demand hasn't dropped at all. Americans are simply choosing to stock up now, quietly, while it's still available. If you're living on a tight budget, this matters. A $3 cup at the coffee shop may be out, but a stocked pantry means you can still get your caffeine fix at home for pennies. So the next time you see your favorite roast on sale, grab two. Your future and your sleepy mornings will thank you. 12. Batteries, flashlights, and power banks. When the lights go out, these shine. What do you reach for first during a blackout? If your answer isn't a flashlight or power bank, you might be in trouble. Because when the power grid fails, everything else follows. Communication, refrigeration, even basic safety. That's why more people than ever are stockpiling batteries, LED flashlights, solar chargers, and even hand crank radios. In 2023, the average American experienced over 5 hours of power outages. And it's getting worse thanks to storms, wildfires, grid overloads, and even cyber attack threats. During the Texas freeze of 2021, portable power banks sold out across multiple states in under 48 hours. That wasn't panic, it was reality. Reddit prepping threads and survivalist Facebook groups are filled with gear's checklists, lithium AA and AAA batteries, solar lanterns, crank-powered emergency radios with built-in phone chargers. Everything you'd need to stay informed and lit up when the world goes dark. And it's not just for extreme emergencies. Think heat waves knocking out AC, winter storms downing power lines, or simply keeping a kid's nightlight running when the power flickers. Bottom line, if your flashlight drawer is full of dead batteries, fix it now, before you're stuck in the dark, literally. Teen, smartphones, laptops, and basic tech devices. Your digital lifeline. It might sound odd to stockpile electronics, but that's exactly what some savvy households are doing. Why? Because when a crisis hits, your connection to the outside world becomes your lifeline. Remote work, online banking, digital grocery orders, school Zoom calls, so much of daily life depends on one working phone or laptop. But here's the problem. Electronics are about to get more expensive, much more expensive. Tariffs on tech products imported from China and Southeast Asia that could push prices up 20 to 25% within the next year. And global chip shortages aren't helping. That's why smart consumers, especially students, freelancers, and families, are quietly buying backup phones, basic Chromebooks, and even solar-powered chargers. Refurbished and second-hand devices are a great way to prepare on a budget. Reddit prepping forums are full of people picking up unlocked phones and battery packs just in case. Because when the main device breaks and stores are either sold out or charging double, you don't want to be caught offline. Think of it like insurance for the digital age. A backup phone today might save your job, your wallet, or even your safety tomorrow. Prepare smart, not scared. Let's be clear, this isn't about panic, it's about being a step ahead. You don't need a bunker or a year's supply of beans, but a few smart choices today? They can save you money, stress, and regret tomorrow. Seniors on fixed incomes, parents juggling bills, students living on tight budgets. You don't have to prep like a doomsday prepper. Just stock up like someone who's been paying attention. So take a look around your home. What's the one thing you'd miss the most if it suddenly vanished or doubled in price? Drop it in the comments. Let's help each other out. And hey, if this video gave you even one useful idea, hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because shortages won't send a warning, but you can still be ready when they hit.